So, hello Jake.
Hi Paul, how you doing?
So we're back on Bournemouth Beach, to be precise Southbourne Beach, and it's still cold. So today we wanted to talk about training.
Yep.
So the Atlassian ecosystem is full of, first of all, lots of options for training, whether that's paid for training, whether that's free training, self-serve, delivered by a teacher. There's so many options. So what I wanted to do was break down those various options for people watching so they can understand what's best fit for them.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with YouTube? Everybody knows YouTube. If you Google or search on YouTube for anything related to Atlassian training, countless videos on there. Why don't you describe some of the benefits and downsides of YouTube training, for example?
So some of the benefits of e-learning, we'll say e-learning because that's like YouTube, watching videos, Udemy, etc.
Yeah.
Some of the benefits of that is it's self-paced.
Yeah.
So you can learn in your own time, watch videos that appeal to you, pick and choose what you want when you want to watch it. Share the videos quite easily as well with your team, and yeah, just absorb the content that's there in a format that suits you.
So thanks for the description of the e-learning. So let's talk about some of the downsides of e-learning, particularly in context of we've all been stuck in front of our laptops for the last couple of years, consuming digital content, and quite frankly, I think a lot of us are over it. Yeah. So let's talk about that.
So I think some of the downsides to e-learning are, you're watching monotonous videos, you're watching a lot of content, and you can quite quickly become disengaged and lose attention on those. We're living in a world full of digital distractions, right? So if you're watching a video and you've got Slack popping up and notifications going off, you'll quickly become disengaged with the content in the video. Whereas with instructor-led training, you've got a person there and you've kind of got a responsibility to listen.
Exactly.
But also you've got the social connection with your peers, and it kind of forces you to engage, learn, and share what you've learned with the people that are doing the training, and prove that you've learned something as well. And one of the things you can do, which is quite important with instructor-led training, is go off tangent and ask a question. Trainers can quickly switch from a trainer to a consultant, and answer technical questions that will really help your team. So I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think, again, for anyone watching who is either a budget holder or responsible for a financial perspective, and that question comes ROI, I think that's where some of the crossover comes. So the ROI question is, well, YouTube's free. Okay, how do you compete with free? Well, what you end up competing with free is, it's actually the time to efficiency, isn't it? So yes, the video might be 2 hours long. So you go, well, it's only 2 hours. My employee gets paid £5 a day, so it costs me £1, whatever. That's technically not true, is it? Because getting through that 2 hour video for one will take more than 2 hours because of Slack and Teams and distractions. They're also not necessarily going to take it in the way you described. You will know in your team who is more likely to follow your instructions to watch the video and act accordingly. And we all know people learn in different ways. So when you suddenly start to take into account all of those, I think that's where there's this real place for team-based training. So why don't you give us a description? You've touched on it a minute ago. We've got team-based training. How do we do it at Clearvision? And I know other Atlassian partners do the same. How do we do team-based training? How long does it take? What are the real benefits? And then they're helpful answer that ROI question that is bound to be on some people's lips.
Yeah, so in terms of the duration of the courses, we offer mostly one-day courses. Some of them are half a day for up to 12 attendees. And so if you have got a team that wants to do a Jira Administrators course or Jira software with agile best practices, they can join for a day, schedule it in advance, and really have that social responsibility and connection with the rest of the team that they have to learn. Listen to the instructor, learn best practices, and take that way and put that into practice within their role. What's important for the teams that are using the Atlassian tools is that they constantly need to maintain their knowledge, but also improve it as well. So as you know, the Atlassian world and Jira is forever changing, right? So they're bringing out new features all the time. And in order to keep up with best practices, they need training to understand the new ways of working, especially in cloud. As you switch from server to cloud, we offer dedicated training for cloud. We do server and data center as well. So having the knowledge switch from server to cloud and understanding how the applications work, especially if you're following methodologies like Agile in Jira software and that kind of thing. But I think some of the other real benefits are joiners, movers, leavers within an organization, right? You have to onboard new users to your organization. What if they don't have the skills to run Jira? What if they were using a different app at a previous company? They might have moved roles and gone into something different, so they have to learn Scrum or Agile in their new role. That's another benefit to training.
We all know this when we employ people. They have different ways of, or different attitudes to learning, definitely, different ways of learning and different reasons why you would even do training. I love what you said before, which is there is something about saying, okay team, today we're being trained by this company, they're coming in, you have a personal responsibility to turn up, be engaged. That for one means that in a period of time, your employees will benefit because they're engaged. So that's not to be underestimated compared to free e-learning, YouTube style learning. That's point one. Point two, which I want us to explore, is the fact that Clearvision, and I'm sure other Atlassian partners, their trainers aren't just trainers, so they are real life consultants as well. So they have that real world experience. So let's explore that topic. You're sitting down, you're going to do the Jira with Agile training course. It's a day long. You've got someone like a Paul Christie there with all his experience. Let's explore that.
Yeah, so let's say you had a training session on Jira software with Agile Essentials. I think some of the real benefits are coming together with your team and having that social connection, but also having that instructor there creates the responsibility that you need to learn, but you can also depend on them as they switch from trainer to consultant. When you ask a question, they've got the knowledge, the expertise, and you can go off on a tangent and ask something else, and you've got that person to depend on. Whereas in e-learning or watching videos, you can't raise your hand and ask a knowledgeable person a question about Jira. It just can't happen. So the point of having virtual instructor-led training is really depending on that expert to extract their knowledge and use it in your day-to-day role.
Yeah, and it's that trusted safe space idea as well, isn't it? So we're in a safe space, we've got some labs to try things out, we've got the hands in the air to say, oh, in my job I keep getting stuck here. So yes, there is absolutely an agenda we'll follow, and there's slides and there's all that good stuff, but it's that real world bit, I think, where users leave, and if they pick up those 3 bits that are a pain for them every day and they've sold them, ROI is through the roof.
I think another thing you mentioned there was the hands-on part, which is really important for the team training that we do, because a lot of people learn by watching videos and absorbing the content, but alternatively, there's people that need to do hands-on work.
Yeah.
So having a sandbox or a test environment that you are added as a user to, that you log in, you go through a workshop or a lab exercise, and you really experience the real world of how to do it, because you're doing it along with the instructor. And that's something that's important with our courses, definitely.
And then let's think about the different categories of circumstances why someone would even go, yeah, my users need training. So we've got a few that we think of. Could you list a couple?
Yeah, so new joiners is one. So you've got a new joiner at your company that's joining the organisation, and they don't have Jira skills, and they need to learn more skills to develop their knowledge. Another one is if someone's changed roles in the organisation. So they might go from a junior software developer but they need to learn more advanced Git skills, for example. Another one is personal development. So not only does it benefit the employer and the company to make your team more productive, also think about the individuals that are employed. They can really take those skills, not only at the company that they're at now, but elsewhere and in the future. It's great for your resume, your CV, and yeah, really improves knowledge.
Yeah. And I think there's a number of things we'd recommend as well when it comes to training, and it probably is, like everything, a mixture of all, isn't it? You know, there is a place for video. There's a place for video to say, in our company, Company X, this is how we do this one thing, and it's a 1-minute video. And that's really great. You know, easy to create. You can either get a company like us to do it yourself. But the bit that Jake's talking about is so much more practical and real world, isn't it? And I think it's that idea of saying, do you know what, I have got a training budget for my team. Imagine if every 6 months, just every 6 months, you got those 12 people together in a room. It's the same training they had last time. They're building on what they had last time. You've maybe got a couple of new members, and you're assigning, you know, God, 5 or 6 grand to that type of activity. The ROI, the empowerment, the knowledge is massive compared to the cost, and also allows you to have some structure and say, yeah, I tell you what, why don't we stick that on the training course and discuss it together that we're going to do next month.
Yeah, and I think you touched on ROI. I think one good way of measuring the return on investment in a training course is doing that gap analysis at the start. So seeing where you are, have us or whoever's doing the training ask the right questions, and then afterwards, once you've done the training course, you can really see what you've learned put into best practice in your role. And then you can see from where you are at the beginning, from the gap analysis, what your skill gaps were, and then when you're actually working in day-to-day role, you can see, oh, actually, yeah, I've really learned something here, and I can pass that knowledge on to my teammates.
Yeah. And ultimately, I'm doing my job quicker, time to value's there, and those metrics, again, from an ROI perspective, that's why we want our employees to be engaged and working well, and that's a key benefit of training as well. I want to touch on specifically the benefits of looking at cloud training or the SaaS platform training before you make that switch. We know a lot of customers are still on the server platform. We have this time-boxed activity to get everybody to SaaS. Let's talk about that. What are the benefits to cloud training for current users of the server software?
So obviously you've got end of life of server 2024, and a lot of people will have to migrate to cloud. There are some key differences between server and cloud, and a lot of that is around the UI, and a lot of Jira administrators that go from server to cloud find themselves fumbling around a little bit, trying to find out where it was in server, it quite isn't the same in cloud, especially like administering the users. You've got next gen projects in Jira, and there's things that are slightly different. So we offer like a Jira administrators course for cloud, and taking that course early before you migrate to cloud can give you that step ahead. So you'll know exactly what it's like before you get there. And you'll have the knowledge and experience and completed a training course in that area so that you're ready to go. Yeah,
and there's also a little bit of confidence aspect to it as well. Feeling confident about where you're going. So by doing the training, when you get there, especially in that Jira administration role, you're going, oh, okay, feel comfortable again. I know my world. I think another thing to take into account is we're not saying you need to train in classroom training your 500 users, are we? No. We, definitely don't interpret it like that. Take on, okay, who are my 12? There might be some admins in there. There might be some superstars. There might be some people who are really passionate about this project you're doing of moving to the cloud. Yeah. Train them.
And identify the gaps in a certain team. So doing that gap analysis, identifying people that might need training, personal development, and want to improve their skills, but also increase the productivity and efficiency of the team. There's one key fact, and it's that instructor-led training can improve the productivity of a team by up to 200%.
Yeah, which means it's a no-brainer.
It is an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah.